Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today I have a special guest. This is Ron from the Overcoming Carbs YouTube channel. Welcome, Ron.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for being on today. So you've been doing carnivore for a little while here. I think it was like 3 or 4 months you had said. So can you give us a little background about yourself and why you started doing carnivore?
Sure. Started in Carnivore April 24th. Um, Started doing it because my wife has two autoimmune issues. She has celiacs and she also has hypoactive thyroid. She started off with hyperactive thyroid, but she had to have it irradiated with irradiation, the iodine treatment back in 2011, near the end of 2011. And with that, she had to go on thyroid treatment for the rest of her life. And she's been dealing with weight issues ever since. And I was preparing for our doctor's visit in April and to get the results of the blood work. We both had to go back to the doctor. We both go to the same doctor. And she was talking about her frustrations with her weight, and she was like talking about how she didn't want to talk to the doctor because she keeps, she's been on keto since probably 2012, since
Hmm.
she since she started going on the thyroid therapy and staying under. She's probably been doing what Nisha says with ketovore because she's been staying underneath 10 carbs a day. And if she goes anything above that, she'll gain 2-3 pounds without any problem. But if she maintains about 10, 20 carbs, then she'll just maintain or gain a pound every month. And seeing the frustration she was having, I was like, there's got to be something else out there. There's got to be something that we can do, and there's something that we can do together. And before the doctor's visit, I was just like, I'm going to look. So I started doing my YouTube searches, like everybody else does in Google searches. And I decided, I came across the interview that Dr. Ken Berry had with Kelly Hogan. And I was sitting there watching it, and my wife follows a lot of people on Instagram. And I said, "Hey, have you ever heard of Dr. Ken Berry?" And he goes, "Yeah." She said, "My this person I follow on Instagram was just talking about him." I said, "Well, you need to watch this video with me because he's talking to this lady named Kelly Hogan, and she lost like 100 and something pounds just eating meat, if you can believe that." And she's like, "Okay, I'll watch it with you, but I've cut out so much in my life, I don't know if I can just go that far, that extreme." And so I said, "Well, let's watch it and see what you think." So we watched the video, and she goes, "Well, what have I got to lose other than weight?" So we decided together. I said, "If you'll do it, I'll do it with you because you know what? I need to lose it too." So we started out together and went into carnivore together, and I immediately felt better. I immediately felt a change. She has had a gradual change, but she's actually lost weight for the first time. She's lost 14 pounds in this time frame, and which is something that is just not been something that she's been able to do with her numbers being off and her whole TSH being off. She is what the doctor described as a unicorn. Um, she is She has high symptoms, or sorry, she has low symptoms, and she has to take so much. She has to take 120 milligrams of thyroid medication a day, which is crazy for somebody. But um, it actually she has to take so much just for her to actually feel like a normal person. And but for her to be losing weight and seeing a change in her, the way things fit and everything, we've been talking lately about all that. It's just, it's nice to have that going on right now. Um, but I just recently shared some of the non-scale victories. We all hear about them in the diet world out there, and through this time now, I've gone. This is the 112th day, so that's now I've completed 12 weeks. I've lost 67 pounds. Sorry, 67 pounds, and almost 25 inches all around my body as far as weight. 25 inches of body mass. And talking about feeling a difference in your body, that is just something that you just can't put a price tag on.
Yeah. That's a crazy amount of weight in 3 months, 67 pounds. That's more than 20 pounds a month.
Yeah, and it comes in spurts too. It's really weird. It's at some points you can go like a week or something and nothing will happen, and then all of a sudden in 1 week you'll lose a pound a day, and then 1 week you won't lose anything. It's just weird how our bodies react to changes in the way you eat. But when you give it what it needs, it adapts to how you eat. And I was watching a few people talking about, stalls and things like that. And I don't think our body really stalls. I think it just is adapting. It actually is learning, is relearning how we are doing things, because it's been trained for so long on the way we've been doing it. It's trying to relearn what we're doing to it now. So it's a process, and a lot of people get discouraged by the with the time when you don't see the scale move. They say don't get on scale, wait a month, don't but for me, I couldn't get on a scale. Every time I got on a scale, it wouldn't give you a reading. When you get above the point where some scales, they only go up to like 400 pounds, and after 400 pounds, you just get an error, so you just don't get on a scale anymore. But then when you start losing weight, you want to see it, and then when you're able to finally see it, you want to see it go down. And I can understand from that perspective wanting to see it go down, wanting to see the change and everything. And then when you don't see it, you get discouraged. And I can understand people telling you, don't get a scale, do it like once a month and things like that. It's I guess, a mind over matter, a body matter thing. But we also have to realize too that our body, we didn't get this way overnight. And I didn't wake up as a 53-year-old man and say, oh my gosh, I'm 440 pounds. I didn't go, how did I get this way? It took me, 42, 41 years to get this way. So I can't expect myself to change in, like, Sean, the intentional carnivore, he lost 243 pounds in what, a year?
Yeah.
I look at people like that and I'm going, man, maybe I'll lose 243 pounds in a year. And, it's like, and then if it doesn't happen to you, you're like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I lose 243 pounds in a year? Or, people are like, I lost 100 pounds in 8 months. You're like, well, what if I can live? And, if anybody's watching this and they think, or even, what's his name? Bill Knott, is that, or the guy up in Alaska now that
Yeah.
Carrie's helping out? He's 700 pounds. I mean, he's almost twice what I am. I mean, even if he loses 100 pounds in what 4 months, that's amazing. But if he loses 200 pounds in a year, that's incredible because he's got almost twice the weight that I have to lose.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of people are like, well, if I can't lose all that, is there something wrong with my body? Well, everybody loses it differently. So, it's just we're all different, and we all think something's wrong with us if we don't do it like somebody else, or if one thing works for one person, it may not work for somebody else, and we just have to think that way.
Yeah. So very good points there. And congratulations for the 67 pounds that you have lost so far.
Well, thank
Now,
you. You're not too shabby yourself. Haven't you lost 60 something?
I've lost now 75 pounds, but it's a little over
75.
a year. It's a little over a year though. So
Well, that's nothing to
yeah.
shake a stick at or anything. You've done very well yourself.
Yeah, thank you. So your weight loss right now, if you figure that out for a year, it's very similar to Sean's. So it'll be interesting to see if it continues at that pace because like you said, everybody's different and there's no rhyme or reason to the weight loss. So, you could have some time periods where you hit just weight stalls and then you start losing again. So it'll be interesting to see as you continue to go how your weight loss goes. But I do
But I
want to
won't
ask you,
be disappointed. I won't be
yeah,
disappointed if it doesn't,
yeah,
because
that's a good point.
I'm not going to be discouraged if I don't, because he's Sean, I'm Ron,
Yeah.
and he lost that weight, and that was his body, and that was his. He's younger. He's way younger than I am. So, and everybody needs to know that you're. Don't be discouraged by how much you lose or how fast you lose or how slow you lose. Just get your health right.
Hmm.
Get the inflammation right. Get with your doctor. Get the other things corrected. There's a lot of other underlying issues that were going on in my body that I needed to get corrected as well. Don't just start a diet, or don't just start a new way of eating without finding out what else is going on in your body. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to be discouraged if I don't match him. So I'm going to keep doing this.
Yeah. That's a great way to look at it. Like I said, I've lost 75 pounds, but the weight loss is actually secondary for me because there's been so many other health benefits that I've had.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really how you want to look at it. This is a healthy way of eating and your body's getting healthy. So I do have a question for you for your
Okay.
wife. How has her two autoimmune diseases been since she's gone to carnivore here? It's been over 3 months. How's that gone through that 3 month period?
Prior to April, she was having a lot of rhythmic issues with her heart with her dosage at the 120 milligrams. And what was really weird is that watching a lot of Dr. Berry's videos and things, they were talking about how ketosis and everything, how your heart works better in ketosis than it does with glucose, and another thing that we were looking into was magnesium and magnesium supplements and things like that, and iodine. And we started doing magnesium and also the carnivore, and she was on 120 milligrams, and then she was reduced down to 90. And when we went carnivore and the magnesium, it seemed like those side effects went away from the extra dose, and so we went back up to the 120 milligrams with the carnivore and the magnesium and stuff. And now she's able to handle the extra 100 up to the 120 because of the carnivore and because of the magnesium. And that has helped out a whole lot because of the way the heart functions better. and how your body works better in ketosis. Because before, I don't think she was always in ketosis, running at about 10 to 20 carbs, in that range. So, in that aspect, with her being at, almost 0 to 5, depending on, what she eats with, the meat, she's not dairy free. Um, so I think she gets a few carbs, not much, but she is doing like night and day to what she was doing prior to April.
That's
And
great.
being able to handle the extra medication and get her numbers up, she just went in July, and her numbers were slightly better, but not where they need to be. So when we go back in October, we'll see how she looks then because of the changes and everything. So we're hoping that it'll be even better then.
Yeah. That's good though. There's an improvement, so that's what you want to see.
Right. But she's been gluten free for a long time for the celiac. So the carnivore really hasn't impacted that part of it, other than she's cut out pretty much every, she's not doing any kind of sweet potato whatsoever, any kind of salad, any kind of vegetable. So that's the only difference on that.
Hmm. Okay. So then if we switch back over to you, you had mentioned that right away you felt so much better. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the benefits you've seen other than the weight loss?
Um, other than I am sleeping better. What's really weird about the sleep part of it is that before I would, I am on a CPAP and I'm trying to get off of it once I get my weight down, but I am less than I was less. I'm at less weight than I was when I went on the CPAP. But um, my sleep, as it actually is, sorry, um, I'm actually going to bed and waking up immediately. It's not a gradual wake up. It's like when I wake up, I wake up, and um, before it's kind of like you're kind of groggy waking up and things, but it seems like um, eliminating everything, your body is just you sleep so much better. You get better quality sleep. The brain fog aspect, I realized that I was my mental focus was off, and I'm able to concentrate better on things, especially at work. Um, some other aspects of I would probably say that I can tolerate the sun and the heat better. And I don't think that's due to weight loss. I can stand outside longer. Um, and I think that has to do with all the oils and things that you hear about the seed oil. I never knew anything about the seed oil thing in your bodies. I was like, when I started hearing about that, I'm like, what are you talking about? What's wrong with all these, sunflower oils and all these things? I'm like, you've heard about them all your life. What can be so wrong with all these things? They're pushing them on us, since we were kids. It's like these are the healthy things to do, and you're telling me they're causing me to, like bake in the sun too. It's like not only are they cooking our foods, they're cooking us. It's like, but I've noticed that I can stand outside and tolerate the sun better. Um, it's there's a ton more energy too. I'm in the kitchen a lot more. I can tell you that much because I'm cooking. I'm cooking for my wife. I'm cooking for myself. I'm cooking for my sons. Um, I have a type 1 diabetic son. He's on his 4-year diaversary. Found out 4 years ago that he had type 1 diabetes, and um, he he just turned 19, and how teenagers are, they're going to want to. You have a daughter that's just going to college, right? So they're
Hmm.
about the same age.
Yeah.
So you know how they are, how they want, they want to have their pizza, they want to have their things, they want to, they want to do all these things, right? Well, you got a type
Right.
1 diabetic, they want to, it's frustrating for him, but he also will eat along with us, because you look at me and he's like real thin. He's like, he's he's a little bitty thing, but he's got type 1 diabetes, and he's he'll eat along with us, and he loves when I'm cooking steaks and everything. I like, oh, I made all these steaks, and I'm going to have them, here for for a few days, and I'll go in the next day, like 2 of them are gone, because he ate he ate like 2 of them, and I'm like, wait a minute, my kid ate my steaks, and I was going to have one of those today, but that's how kids are. Um, but just the whole energy factor, that's one thing. I would get also, my my skin is smoother. I don't have all the dryness in my skin like I used to. A little dry, itchy, flaky skin. Um, some other benefits would be, let's see, brain fog, skin issues. There's been some weird things too, like you don't like it's. I asked this question the other day when the who are the Carnivore Kip and Dave and Larry and Sean on their live stream. I said, "What are some odd things that you've noticed since you've gone carnivore?" And uh, one of my things is that, and Dave also mentioned that he said sometimes he forgets to like brush his teeth. Well, I don't forget to brush my teeth, but you don't. Your your mouth is so much cleaner, which I find so weird. It's like, what is in our food that we're eating that does that to your mouth? What is
Mm.
it? Is it it can't be the bacterial thing, I guess. I don't know, but something. But it's like your mouth, even in the morning when you wake up, is just like, it's like, oh, okay, I'll brush my teeth, and it's not like you have woke up with a sweater that you just ate last night. So those are some of the things. It's just it's overall, you just overall encompassing feel better.
Yeah. That's funny about the whole mouth thing. One thing I've noticed is my teeth seem to be whiter. And I actually had the last
Yeah.
time I went to a dentist was a few years ago, and I had a cavity that I just didn't have filled. And it used to be a little sensitive, and it's not sensitive anymore. So I don't know if the cavity went away or what, but I don't have any issues with that tooth. And I haven't gone back to the dentist in a few
You
years,
haven't
to
you
be
haven't
honest.
looked at it?
No, I haven't gone, but I haven't had any problems, so I haven't really felt like I needed to, right? But I've also heard other people talk about, matter of fact, Jordan Peterson has said that he had gum
Oh
disease
yeah,
really bad, and
right.
it's gone now after
Uh-huh.
going to carnivore. So it's interesting how some of those things that you don't really expect, and you're like,
Uh-huh.
how does our eating have to do with that? But it really does make a difference when you go to
It
carnivore
does.
and cut out all the carbs. The
Yeah, it's like
processed foods and the sugar probably is what it is, but it's interesting.
I guess the inflammation that's inside our body can also be around our mouth and around the
Yeah.
gums, just like he's talking about with the gingivitis and all that, and periodontal disease and all inside your mouth like he had. So I guess that could also be attributed to that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. All right. So, let's see. So your wife had been keto since 2012, you had said. So
Uh huh.
she's really probably very familiar with the whole low carb thing. And for you, were you keto before, or did you just go from eating regular American standard American diet to carnivore?
Well, I was kind of in between. So I've done different diets. I've tried different things. Even when I was a kid, I would, my parents tried to do, like portion controlling and things like that. But even when I was a teenager, I tried to do Weight Watchers when I was a teenager. When being a kid, a male teenager and things, and Weight Watchers that just don't mix back in the '80s. It's not just kind of like taboo type of thing to go, go to those meetings and things. But um, tried that. Tried the fat-free craze in the early '90s. I went. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. Have you ever heard of the Way Down Workshop?
No, I haven't.
No, it was a thing that went through a lot of the churches back in the early 2000s and like late 90s, early 2000s. It was what they did was it's like eat until you're full and then stop, and um, it was almost like a portion control thing, but it was almost like a spiritual fasting thing with eating, and they incorporated a lot of stuff with the Bible and everything with it. And tried that, and then I tried doing Atkins for a while, and then when my wife was in 2012, when she had her issues with and went into keto, I would do it with her off and on, and then my doctor and her doctor suggested this last time about a year ago to do intermittent fasting and do 18-6. And I tried that, but then in that 6 hour window, I would just eat whatever. And, um, and she was still doing keto, and I wasn't losing or anything like that, but the wake up call came in April when I weighed myself and found out I was, 440 pounds. And I said, no, I've got to do something different this time.
Hmm. And it's interesting because a lot of people that are successful on carnivore, one of the keys I think to being successful is that you're ready to do it and you want to do it. And it sounds like that was you talk about it as your wake up call. That was your point that you knew that you needed to do something. And that's always a key from what I found for people that it's hard to push somebody to do a diet like keto or carnivore until they're ready to do it. But it sounds like that's when you were ready to do it and that was your moment.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. All right. Um, so let's see here. You started a YouTube channel called Overcoming Carbs. I think that's more recent here in like the last month. Is that correct?
Right.
Yeah. So can you tell
Uh,
us a little bit about that channel and what your thoughts are for the channel?
well, overcoming carbs is basically with going on carnivore, it made me realize that with doing keto, with doing low carb, I didn't know what my body didn't know what an off switch was. I would almost be given a free reign with the keto diet or with the carnivore diet. You would still have like that up to 20 carbs that you could do. And so with the whole thing of the fallacy of the net carb thing, the whole part of, look at the net carbs, what not the whole carbs, just do the net carbs. That's what actually impacts your body. Well, I would say, well, it's only got 3 net carbs, so I could have 8 of the or 6 of these, instead.
Hmm.
I can have to 6 of these in a day, but in actuality, I was doing more than, 18 carbs at that point. Um, so my mind was not wrapping around the fact that, it may have been only 18 net carbs, but really there was more carbs involved in that. Um, so didn't have really the ability. My body's like, I would eat a carb and my body would just say, "Hey, yeah, you ate something. You you got something in there. Just keep going, keep going. I don't know I'm full. I don't know that I'm done." And I I wouldn't know how to stop until, till it was like my stomach couldn't take anymore. Even, it didn't have an off switch. And with carnivore, I actually could eat like a pound of meat, and with the fat and the meat and stuff, it would go down there and it would actually just stop. It would, I would be like, I've had enough. And I talked to my wife about this one time. I was like, it's kind of like the difference between drinking water and drinking like a diet soda. When you drink a diet soda and you've got that bubbly artificial sweetener and you're like, that tastes good. I want some more. I want some more. I want to drink some more. Whereas when you drink water, it's just like, oh, that it quenched my thirst. I'm done. I don't have to just sit there and guzzle down, a 44-ounce thing of water at one
Mhm.
sitting. But when you have a 44-ounce, supersonic drink, and you're a Route 44 supersonic drink, and you're drinking it, and it's like bubbly and kind of that artificial sweetener. And then you keep drinking it. I said that's kind of the way my body was when it came to eating. Your body gets hold of like any kind of sugar or carb or anything, and it just didn't know how to stop, and it just wanted more and more. Whereas when you give it something like meat, it actually just said, "Okay, I'm done, and I've had enough, and I don't need to give any more." It actually got satiated, and I came to realize that my body loves sugar. My body loves carbs. My body wanted more of it. It craved more of that. It wanted to have more of that. And when I got rid of it, which keto and low carb don't do, they don't get rid of it. Um, Once I got rid of that, then I was able to actually know what full felt like, to what satiation felt like, to know that what my body actually required at that time. And so I named the channel Overcoming Carbs because I actually overcame the addiction because I eliminated what I didn't need. And I know you talked about this a few of your videos ago. You're talking about how um, the industry has just like flooded us with the whole highly processed, sugar and everything. Everything is just inundated us with the ads. And in the early, and I asked you also about the movie, the documentary that came out in 2017 that everybody was against. That it was on Netflix. They removed it from Netflix. It's out there now on Prime and a bunch of other streaming services. But anyway, they're talking about how the food industry basically changed the way Americans eat, and it was all started because the government was looking for in the early 70s. They were looking for a way to get grain to Russia and export it. And so they got all the farmers to start doing exports to Russia. And so they had all this stuff going on with grains and everything. And finally, Russia said, we don't need it anymore. And so it's like, well, what do we do with all the surplus we have now? And so they decided at that point in the 70s, hey, I know what we'll do. We'll tell everybody that meat is bad, that, eggs are bad, that all this other stuff that everybody's been eating, it's bad. So that we'll tell them that these oils and these false butters, like margarine and things, that those are better for you so that we can use up all this excess stuff that we have out there, that all the cereals that started coming out at that time in the 70s. Now, this is what you should do. This is part of a balanced diet. And the food pyramid had all this grand area at the bottom of the pyramid that was full of grains. And so the food industry, or the agricultural industries, made the food pyramid with the grains this big and the meat at the top. This, at the top of the pyramid is so small because they had to get rid of the surplus. So to overcome this bottom thing that we were programmed in the early 70s, or in the 70s and 80s, that was the proper thing to do. That's what carnivore led me to do, is to overcome that. Because when I was a kid, I wish I had a picture or whatever, but when I was a kid, I was a real thin thing. I was, up until I was about 10 years old, I was little. I was a normal looking kid. And then all of a sudden, I'm eating all these cereals and I'm eating all this processed foods that are out there. And it seemed like the normal thing to do at the time because that's what they pushed on us. And the only thing that probably kept me from being extremely overweight when I was a kid and I was a teen was I actually started throwing a paper out on my bike. So I was riding my bike every day. We're outside constantly when we were kids and moving around and everything. And I was on the move all the time. And so when I got out of high school and got through with that, I worked at a feed store when I was a senior in high school, and I was looking pretty good when I got out of high school. But I weighed about 211 pounds when I graduated high school. And after I got out of high school, then it was like, okay, I'm out of the house now. Now it's free reign. And then my body just went to pot from there. I was not doing the things I was doing before and just eating all the stuff that's out there. And it went from there. So I actually had to overcome a lot. And thanks to this way of eating, it helped me realize. And with the help from the one above, I'll make it through all this and we'll get this weight off and we'll influence some other people out there to change the way they're eating as well.
Yeah, that's well said. And I got to tell you, I was the same way when I was a kid. Granted, I think we're pretty close in age, and our generation, that's what we did. We were outside all the time, and the kids of these days are not outside that often. And I think that probably plays a role in why there's so much more child obesity today than there was back when we were. But I was
Oh
the
yeah.
same way. I was really skinny. I was like a toothpick in high school. And then slowly after high school, the weight started coming on, and did
Yep.
less when I did less things outside and so forth, and that's when the weight really started coming on.
Yes, sir.
Yep. All right. So your website, or I'm sorry, your YouTube channel, Overcoming Carbs. I'm gonna have a link in the description of the video here today. So anybody that hasn't already checked out his YouTube channel, go check it out. Subscribe, check out his videos. He's got some good videos out there about, his the beginning of going into carnivore for him, and talking about, how he's had to eliminate, completely eliminate the sugar, the carbs. I'm the same way. There are people out there that can eat a little bit of it and they're okay, but
Mm-hmm.
I can't do that. I'm the same way, like, as you are. Like, I just start craving it, and like you
Uh-huh.
said, when you are eating a little bit of carbs, it's harder to know exactly when you're full and when you're really
Yeah.
hungry again, because those carbs mess with your brain and make you just think that you're hungry when you really aren't, and so forth. So I'm kind of the same way there. But anyway, go ahead and check out his channel and subscribe to it. Um, I think it's going to be great watching your journey, because you're in a situation where, like, for me, I started my channel after I had already lost like 60, 70 pounds or so. So I didn't really get to document as well. I still have weight to lose, but It's not a big amount now like I had before. For
Uh-huh.
you, you still got a good amount to lose, so I think it's gonna be good for people to watch that progress as you go over the next several months and year or 2, right? Just to watch
Oh
that
yeah.
progress. So it's gonna be
Uh,
great for that.
I still got at least another 150, 170 more pounds to go.
Yeah.
So it'll be
Um,
interesting.
it definitely will be. So, um, to kinda close out here, can you, uh, I guess what I wanna say is, I wanna give you the floor to just kind of tell our audience, what however you wanna close out with, with in terms of carnivore, what you would do if you were them and they were just getting started because you've had a few months doing it, and just what all you would like to kind of portray to people out here just to close out the show.
do do the research. Don't just take what I've said, or don't just take what you hear from one or two people. Actually, go out there and look at what others have said. Um, Carnivore, and one thing that I've said too is that carnivore may work for you, carnivore may not work for you, and it may be something that you're on the fence about because you're afraid because of you've heard the horror stories about meat your whole life, like I did. My wife heard the horror stories about meat her whole life. We've all heard the horror stories because that's what we were programmed in the early 80s and so forth, that meat is bad, that it's going to kill you. um, the thing is that go out there and look and find the data on the people that are doing it, and look at the people and compare the people that are doing it and the extreme opposite, and just look at the people. Look at the ones that are doing it and the ones that are doing the complete opposite, and just look at how they look, and let that be a judge to yourself about how they appear. One thing. Also, just know that carnivore is a means. It's a way to get to optimal health. It is it is a way for you to get to a point where you know what's going on in your body, because you're eliminating everything. You're only getting basic nutrition at that point. And some people incorporate other things to see how your body reacts. But if you're going to do it, don't do it for just a week. Don't do it for just 2 weeks. Don't do it just for, um, a few days or anything like that, because you're not going to know how your body's going to react. You need to dedicate yourself to it. That's why they say do the beef, butter, bacon, and eggs for 30 days. They call it a challenge, but it's not really a challenge. It's just to see how your body how your body does. And then after that 30 days, slowly come back. And one thing I will tell you though is do it slowly starting off. I jumped in just full in, and I would not recommend you do it just jumping in, because your body will do bad things to you if you just jump in and just start eating meat. Because your body's going to say, there's been a big change, and now I'm going to start doing bad things to you. So I would say do it slowly. It's kind of like if you've ever had a pet and you change the food on your pet, they tell you to do it slowly. You incorporate the new food in to your pet. Well, you do the same thing with carnivore. You slowly increase your meat and slowly decrease the vegetables. That way your body will be had the time to adapt. Don't jump into it like I did, because then you're like have all the bad things that you hear about out there. You hear about the people with all the side effects, and then what about this or what about that? So that's what I want to leave. Do the research. Don't jump in just all, Don't just jump in at all costs. Do it slowly, and then do it for an extended time. Those are the three things I would say to do.
Okay. Well, Ron, thank you for coming on the show. I look forward to watching the progress for both you and your wife on your journey. And again, thank you for coming on the show.
Well, thank you for having me, Brian. I appreciate it very much. And I thank you for this format. And you're doing a great job out there. You keep it up. I'm enjoying your channel as well. And thank you so much for putting the word out there about this diet.
All right. Thank you.